After you have submitted the survey, you will go to the validation stage. The purpose of the validation stage is to ensure the survey is filled in correctly and that your answers reflect the actual situation at your organization. The validation is conducted within the Top Employers portal. Your HR auditor will assess your answers and create a list of findings. This can include answers that require additional context or proof that the practice is in place at your organization. These findings are published to the portal and are accessible via the home page. You will receive a message once the findings are available for review. Click on the link Go to Findings to access the details. How can you provide input to the findings? This is an overview of the findings grouped by topic. Each finding shows a status. When you enter the findings for the first time, you will see two types of statuses. The first one is Please Update, where you are expected to provide input. The other one is Pending. The findings with the status Pending can be read, but you cannot provide input. Click on the question to access the finding. Reviewing the findings works similar to the survey. Here you can see the comment section in which your HR auditor may ask a question related to this finding. Navigation works similar to that of the survey using the Next and Back buttons. You can always exit the finding and go back to the list by clicking on the arrow in the header. Remember, to save your changes, you need to click on Next first. As with the survey, the Help button shows additional information on the question. We recommend that you use the Help function to make sure you understand our requirements for a question. You can add a comment by clicking on the plus icon. After saving your comment, you can edit and delete it for 30 minutes. This is to correct potential errors. You can provide multiple comments if needed. Navigate to the next finding by clicking on the Next button. If supporting documents are required, you can upload the document like you would do so in the survey. If needed, you can update your answer. If you go back to the findings list, you can see that the status of the first two findings are now updated to Input Provided. Should we look at a finding with status Pending, you can see that you cannot make changes, add comments, or upload documents. The HR auditor will allow you to make changes after this finding has been discussed in the validation session. Let's fast forward to show the status once input to all findings has been provided. When you have provided input to all outstanding findings, the Submit Survey button appears. If you click on this button, the HR auditor will know that you have reviewed all the findings and can start with looking at your input. Now all findings have the status Pending, indicating that your HR auditor is now reviewing your input. After the validation session, the HR auditor will update the findings. Some of the findings might be directly approved. For others, your HR auditor might ask for additional proof or request that you update your answer. Let's move on to show the status once the HR auditor has made updates to the findings. Once the HR auditor has reviewed your input and updated the findings, the number of outstanding findings will have been reduced to indicate the number of findings that are still open. You can now see in the list that some findings have a status Closed, Approved. This means that the HR auditor has accepted your answer based on the input provided. If your HR auditor has additional questions, the finding will have a status Please Update. Review the feedback from the HR auditor and provide input. When you are done, there should no longer be any finding with the status Please Update. You will see that the Submit Survey button appears again. Click the button Submit Survey to indicate to the HR auditor that you are done and that your final additional input can be reviewed. Let's fast forward so that you can see the status once the HR auditor has completed the validation. When there are no outstanding findings to review, you will receive an email that the validation is completed. You can still access the findings link via the link in the footer. As you can see, all the findings now have a closed status, either approved or declined. The status Closed, Declined is used if your HR auditor could not approve your answer based on your input, and you did not update the answer according to the request of the HR auditor. Keep in mind that it is a final status. There is no possibility anymore to provide further information. Always be specific and complete as much as possible when providing input to questions of your HR auditor so that your answers can be accepted. Good luck with your validation.